Hare Krishna, good afternoon.
Hare Krishna. So we would like to welcome here is Madhava Murari Guru and loudly chanting Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today we are going to discuss Srila Prabhupada's books and the role of these Srila Prabhupada's books in our day-to-day life, in our spiritual life. Okay? Okay, Hare Krishna. Does it work or not? Yeah. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we have few quotes that are related to our today's topic, today's subject matter, and we can start from this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 19th chapter, and verse 152. And would be nice to chant it all together. Malihana kari se biksha arupana, Malihana kari se bija arupana, Shravana kirtana jale kara ye chest sechana, Shravana kirtana jale kara ye sechana. Okay. When a person receives the seed of devotional service, he should take care of it by becoming a gardener and sowing the seed in his heart. If he waters the seed gradually by the process of Shravana and Kirtana, means hearing and chanting, the seed will begin to sprout. The seed will begin to sprout. Means the seed is given. What does it mean? That this seed of bhakti is given by a spiritual master. It is given by a spiritual master. It means Shraddha. Adao Shraddha. Everything begins from faith. Everything begins from some kind of preliminary faith, preliminary interest, preliminary respect to spiritual life. So, but this tendency and this desire to serve Krishna and to practice devotional service, to practice bhakti yoga, it grows. We can grow this desire and we can maintain this desire by practicing these processes, Shravana and Kirtana. Otherwise, we will lose it. We will lose this seed of bhakti. It was given to us, but after some time we can see that there is no bhakti lata bija anymore, just because Shravana and Kirtana processes are not practiced. And moreover, so again, when we are speaking about bija, when we are speaking about seeds, it means some kind of tendencies that we can get from association with other people. And not only bhakti lata bija one can get by association, but also there are other types, other kinds of these bijas. And about these bijas we can read in the purport to this verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 19:152. So here, Srila Prabhupada writes that this Bhakti Lata Bija is received from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. Other seeds, called Anya Bilasha Bija, include Karma Bija, Jnana Bija. If one is not fortunate enough to receive the Bhakti Lata Bija from the spiritual master, he instead cultivates such seeds as Karma Bija, Jnana Bija, or political, social, or philanthropic Bijas. Or it means tendencies, it means mindset. If person reads on regular basics some books about some mundane sciences or about politics or history or whatever, or about importance of doing charity, importance of philanthropic activities, then gradually this faith and this interest to do charity, to do particular activities, it grows. The same process is there. However, the Bhakti Lata Bija is different from these other Bijas. The Bhakti Lata Bija can be received only through the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, one has to satisfy the spiritual master to get the Bhakti Lata Bija. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada. The process goes like this. We should satisfy spiritual master, and he gives this Bhakti Lata Bija, and he helps us in these processes of Shravanam and Kirtanam. We listen to his classes, to the recordings of his classes or live classes, and because of that, these processes of Shravanam and Kirtanam are going on. And also, of course, we should read Srila Prabhupada's books. Here it is written that Bhakti Lata Bija can be received only through the mercy of the spiritual master. And this statement is about special position of Bhakti Lata Bija, because all these political, social, philanthropic bijas, it belongs to this world, to this material world. It is different parts of Prakrita Jnana. It is different parts of materialistic knowledge. It is generated here in material world, but Bhakti Lata Bija doesn't belong to material world. So, and it can be very rarely achieved. So if we have got at least tiny Shraddha, tiny Bhakti Lata Bija, we should take care of this by practicing Shravana and Kirtana processes, and by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because again, as you can see from this quote, this world, this material world is ready to give us different kinds of bijas and to give us different directions in life. There is variety, why not? So, but this Bhakti Lata Bija belongs to spiritual reality. It is special position. So what should we do? Let's go to the next quote. This Bhakti Lata Bija helps us to manifest our real nature. And our real nature is described here in the preface to Nectar of Devotion. In the preface of Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada writes that each and every living entity has loving propensity, tendency to love someone or to love something, and at the same time this need to be loved by someone. This tendency is natural. And again, people, they are searching for love, like George Harrison, he was chanting his famous song, "All you need is love." They are searching, people are searching for love, but they don't know where it is situated. And how to, which love is genuine and which love is fake. So, here in this purport, in this quote, it is written why Bhakti Lata Bija should be cultivated. What is the importance of cultivation of Bhakti Lata Bija? The basic principle of the living condition is that we have a general propensity to love someone. No one can live without loving someone else. This propensity is present in every living being. Even an animal like a tiger has this loving propensity, at least in a dormant stage, and it is certainly present in the human beings. The missing point, however, is where to repose our love, so that everyone can become happiness. At the present moment, the human society teaches one to love his country or family or his personal self, but there is no information where to repose the loving propensity, so that everyone can become happy. That missing point is Krishna, And the nectar of devotion teaches us how to stimulate our original love for Krishna and how to be situated in that position where we can enjoy our blissful life, our blissful life. So this original love for Krishna should be stimulated, it is written here. And again, we stimulate this love by practicing Shravanam and Kirtanam. Small Shraddha is given and we try to stimulate it. We stimulate this interest. Srila Prabhupada, he writes in one of the purports in Srimad Bhagavatam that it is natural tendency of people that they want to know different stories from lives of other people, from lives of other living entities. That's why these mass media are so popular, and people, they want to know what are news from life of such and such pop singer or sports star or politician and so on and so on. So the same tendency can be used when we are listening Krishna Katha, when we are reading Krishna book. And it will be stimulation of our original love for Krishna. And if we are reading all this newspaper about what? About famous and powerful people of this world, then we stimulate other bijas, social bijas, social bijas, political bijas. Other tendency we cultivate and stimulate in our hearts, in our consciousness. So here it is, and again, all these bijas, philanthropic bija, social bija, political bija, bija of nationalism. Again, it is written here in this quote, the human society teaches one to love his country or family or his personal self. So these bijas also are about love. People are searching the ways how to get this happiness, but by dedicating their lives to some ideology or some activities or to some people, to some personalities. But it is fake love. Translate. It is fake love. It is false. It is not real. And after some time, especially in old age, all these people, or many of them, they become very frustrated because they were trying to reach all these ideals of this world. And all these ideals and ideology of this world will never make human being happy. Hare Krishna. We're going to the next quote. And the next quote is about power of Krishna Katha. Again, we have, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have this book, which is called Krishna book, and Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, when we practice this Shravanam and Kirtanam processes, purification is going on in our hearts. Hridyantag skokya badrani vidunoti sukrit satam. It means that Supreme Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, He cleanses these hearts from everything which is abadrani. Abadrani means not auspicious, undesirable. Okay? So, and this purification, it is not just purification, it is 360 degrees purification. You see, it is written there. 360 degrees purification. It means everything becomes purified. And here in this quote, Srila Prabhupada confirms, he describes how this process works, and he confirms the power of this Krishna Katha. As long as one is engaged in hearing such transcendental activities of Krishna, he remains aloof from the conditional life of material existence. The topics of Lord Krishna are so auspicious that they purify the speaker, the hearer, and the inquirer. Everyone becomes purified. Purified means he becomes free from this contamination on the level of his consciousness. Consciousness becomes purified. And what does it mean, contamination of consciousness? Again, it is about all this social bija, political bija, philanthropical bija, all these false ideas. And ultimately one becomes one branched. He is not Bahushakha anymore. He is not many branched anymore. Now he becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness. And the more one is fixed in Krishna consciousness, the more we can tell about him, about such person, that he went through some process of purification. Because it is natural for conditioned living entity not to be focused, and to have a lot of different ideas and tendencies, a lot of desires. And when we purify our consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it makes us gradually, it makes us stable, fixed in Krishna consciousness. Sadhana is very important. Okay, the topics of Lord Krishna are so auspicious that they purify the speaker, the hearer, and the inquirer. They are compared to the Ganges water, which flows from the toe of Lord Krishna. Wherever the Ganges waters go, they purify the land and the person who bathes in them. Similarly, Krishna Katha, or the topics of Krishna, are so pure, that wherever they are spoken, the place, the hearer, the inquirer, the speaker, and all concerned becomes purified. These processes of Shravanam and Kirtanam can be practiced in any circumstances and any environment, any place, any space will become purified just if we practice Shravanam and Kirtanam in these places. And the first statement from this quote is also important because it is written here that just by hearing about transcendental activities of Krishna, one remains aloof from conditioned life. Srila Prabhupada gives an analogy of the lotus leaf. Lotus leaf which is situated in water, and it is situated in water. Lotus leaf is situated in water, but it doesn't become wet. It doesn't become wet because of that. So the same way, one can become like this lotus leaf. And but one can remain in this position only till he is practicing Shravanam and Kirtanam. Only if there is this process of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we are practicing Krishna Katha, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, or if we practicing so-called sadhana katha, or discussions how to improve our sadhana. It is also such kind of katha. It is not only that we are supposed to speak about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes or Krishna's pastimes or Ramachandra's pastimes only, but we also can discuss how to improve our sadhana, how to chant holy names better, how to have better relationships between ourselves. It is also part of Vaishnava culture and of sadhana, and it is also katha. It is considered to be katha, and it also purifies because it is related to Krishna. Not only direct Krishna katha purifies, but all these discussions that are related to Tadhyana means related to. It also gives this purification effect. So it is nice when one is able to feel himself, at least for a short period of time, to feel himself aloof from conditioned life and not to be touched by all these circumstances of life. When one, by Krishna's mercy of course, when one gets such experience of being aloof and free from influence of material nature, at least for some period of time, by some mercy, then it helps one to continue with this process, because Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam, it is called Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam. It means that it is not, Krishna consciousness is not something imaginary. It means it is direct experience, Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam. So we practice and we want to feel something and to experience something which is real. So if we are good in our sadhana and in Shravana and Kirtana, then of course Bhakti Lata Bija will grow and we will be feeling like it grows, how it grows. That's why Srila Prabhupada, he was always emphasizing, and our spiritual masters, they also emphasize that it is important to follow sadhana and Shravana and Kirtana processes. And what we're speaking about? We're speaking about reading Srila Prabhupada's books. That's why this preface is there. That's why we're discussing importance of Shravana and Kirtana. Because when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, what we do actually do? We have association with our founder Acharya. We have association with our founder Acharya. It is not that only those who were initiated by Srila Prabhupada or those who were Srila Prabhupada's secretaries or personal servants, they could have personal relationships and other people they are liking. No, everyone can get these relationships, and Srila Prabhupada, he wrote these books like he was telling, not only for distribution but also for reading. And when devotees, they read these books, they have their personal relationships with Srila Prabhupada. Also we have this statement about Srila Prabhupada's position. It is GBC document. We have GBC document which is called Statement about Srila Prabhupada's position. And this document was published about 2013. About 2013. So it is written there that each and every devotee in ISKCON, he has his personal relationships with Srila Prabhupada. And he has to cultivate and to maintain these relationships. Also, you just taken this ISKCON disciple course, right? You have taken, and your teachers, your teachers, facilitators, they have shown you this course, right? You have it in your appendixes to the books. Appendix, you know this word, yeah? Appendix. You have different documents at the end of this manual, and one of these documents is a statement about Srila Prabhupada's position. So it is important. Of course, he left his body in 1977, but it doesn't mean that now we cannot have relationships with him. I will always be living in my books. You have heard this statement. Srila Prabhupada, he told, I will always be living in my books. Srila Prabhupada, he told it when he was asked by one journalist who will become a head of your spiritual organization after your departure. And Srila Prabhupada, he answered to that journalist, I will never die, I will always be living in my books. So again, when we're speaking about this structure, organizational structure of ISKCON, GBC, managerial line, spiritual line, all these things. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada is eternal Shiksha Guru for everyone. And this process of reading of his books is meant for everyone, from ABC to GBC. You can write it down if you like. From ABC to GBC. For everyone it is meant. From ABC to GBC. It doesn't mean, it is not so much important is the ISKCON devotee really advanced or not so advanced or just neophyte, not so important. It is meant for everyone. And Srila Prabhupada wrote these books in such a way that it is meant for any person with any level of consciousness. Any level of consciousness. Any person can get at least something from these books. Sometimes devotees, they say, I read books, Srila Prabhupada's books, and according to the rule, I read it for 1 hour, then I close the book, and I cannot remember what I was reading about. And I cannot remember. I'm not able to remember what I was reading about. Well, today we are going to discuss what to do if we face this situation. But anyway, even if we cannot do much with this situation, anyway, purification process is going on. Even if we don't remember anything, anyway, some purification we have got. Like for example, when Srila Prabhupada was preaching on Bowery Street, there were some drunkards on the streets who were just lying down, and they were unconscious. And there was one case when Srila Prabhupada asked his disciples that you please take few people from the street and just put on the floor in temple hall. Let them be present on the class and on the kirtan. And disciples, they told that, but these people, they will not be able to hear anything. And Srila Prabhupada, he answered, they will not hear, but the soul will hear. The soul will hear. So the same way, even if we are not able to memorize anything, anyway, this contact with Srila Prabhupada's books, anyway, it helps. But much more better to be conscious, right? To be conscious when we are reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So what to do? First of all, here in this lecture, which you can see on the screen, lecture on Sri Brahma Samhita 5.32, given in Los Angeles in 1972. He explains that we should have such practice, that if we found something which is really important in Srila Prabhupada's books, or if we have got some realization during process of practical devotional service, we should write it down. We should write it down. So let's read this quote. Realization means you should write, every one of you, what is your realization. What for this back to Godhead is. You write your realization, what you have realized about Krishna. That is required. It is not passive. Always you should be active. Whenever you find time, you write. Never mind 2 lines, 4 lines, but you write your realization. Shravanam, Kirtanam, writing or offering prayers, glories, that is one of the function of the Vaishnava. One of the function of Vaishnava. To write what is realized. We realize something, then we should write it down. Otherwise we will forget, right? We'll forget, because in which yuga we live? What is the name of this yuga? Kali Yuga. And what is about our memory? Is it does it work nicely or not? Who is going to give the answer? What about our memory in Kali Yuga? How it works? What?
Means very weak. Our memory is very weak in this.
Okay, yes. Memory is very weak. Yeah. Or maybe someone's memory is not weak. What is about memory? What is about memory? How it works in Kali Yuga? Short. Yes, exactly. Hare Krishna. That's why we should have these notes, we should have these diaries, otherwise how we will be able to memorize everything? Especially when you go through this PBT training and you get this experience, intense experience. intense experience. So it would be nice to write down what are my realizations today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and so on and so on. You are hearing, but you have to write also. Then write means smaranam, remembering what you have heard from your spiritual master, from the scripture. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23, about Vishnu, not for others. We should write down what we have heard about Vishnu or about Vaishnavas. Because you see, this situation, quite often this situation happens when there was, for example, Sunday class or Srimad Bhagavatam class, and when class is finished, then one devotee is asking another, how was this class? This class was very good, very nice, very inspiring. And what was this class about? Oh, I don't remember. I just remember that it was inspiring. It means we have got some emotions, but we should get some knowledge also, not just emotions. And then if we have got knowledge, if we wrote it down, then if after some time we will read what we have wrote down, then the same emotions we can experience again. Otherwise, this Bhagavatam class or Sunday class becomes just one-time class, one-time class. Like we have these different things that are just for one-time usage, Just have got some emotions, then these emotions are replaced with other emotions, because again our training is intense, right? Intense training. Okay, but it is not the whole quote. We have the second part. Don't write any nonsense thing for any nonsense man. Use this waste of time. Write about Vishnu, Krishna. This is cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Here, write, remember, try to understand. Don't be dull-headed. Dull-headed. Don't be dull-headed. It is direct instruction from our Shiksha Guru for all ISKCON devotees. Srila Prabhupada is Shiksha Guru. This instruction is meant for everyone, for any ISKCON devotee. Don't be dull-headed. And it means we should put some endeavors. Well, some people are intelligent by their nature from birth and so on. Some people are not so much intelligent. But anyway, if we are speaking about spiritual intelligence, not material intelligence, but spiritual intelligence, anyway, it should be cultivated, because it is not given by birth, usually. Usually it is not given. Well, some people, they were practicing in previous lives and they can be born in Vaishnava families, like for example, Srila Prabhupada, he gave the example of his own life, that I was born in Vaishnava family and my spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, was born in spiritual family, in Vaishnava family. These cases also take place, but not so often. Yeah, not so often. In most cases, we really have to cultivate our intelligence by processes of Shravanam Kirtanam. And even if intelligence is okay, anyway, processes of Shravanam and Kirtanam are prescribed in any case. Without being very intelligent, nobody can have full Krishna consciousness. Very important statement. Without being very intelligent, nobody can have full Krishna consciousness. It is for the most intelligent man. So that intelligence will come if you try to understand Krishna. Then you are liberated. You cannot understand Krishna in full. He is unlimited. Our knowledge is limited. But as far as you can, try to understand Krishna. So we should put endeavors. And then if we put these endeavors, then Bhagavad Gita verse 10.10 Tesham satata yuktanam vachatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yanamam upayantite. He gives this intelligence. little by little, he gives some intelligence. We get more and more intelligence if we follow two conditions, which are described in this verse from Bhagavad Gita 10.10. First of all, we should practice, we should be engaged in practical devotional service, and this practical devotional service should be practiced. Two rules are there, should be practiced uninterruptedly, one rule, and the second rule with love and devotion. So if these two rules are followed, love and devotion, this desire to satisfy Krishna, spiritual master, and the second rule is that it has no interruption, it is done on regular basis. Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya, every day. Then we can expect that Krishna will give us some more brain, and we will be able to understand him more, or we will be able to understand how to practice devotional service better. In such way we can get his mercy. First endeavors, then mercy. We meditate on this, on Kartika month. First endeavors and mercy. Two conditions how we can attain spiritual success in spiritual life. When Yashoda Mata was trying to bind Krishna to the motor, always she had the same problem with these ropes, because these ropes always were 2 fingers short. You remember this story? 2 fingers short. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of our acharyas, he gives the explanation what these 2 fingers mean. Vishwanath Chakravarti, who is the author of Gurvashtaka, Sansara Dava Nalavinda Loka, Pranaya Karunya Ganam, and so on. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, very famous acharya. So he explains that these 2 fingers means, 1 finger means our endeavors in spiritual life, but we put these endeavors, and the second finger is about Krishna's mercy. Well, we can just, of course we can be passive, we can do nothing, we can just sit and wait when Krishna will give me his mercy, and we can wait for a long time actually. But if we put some endeavors, then this chance to get his mercy is increased, Just something practical should be done for his satisfaction, for Krishna's satisfaction. And again, according to this verse, the Shamsatata Yuktanam, it should be done in mood that I want to satisfy Krishna, love and devotion. And it should be done on regular basis. And then Krishna will give some more brain. And this brain will help us to understand them more. And then when we understand them more, we continue with these efforts. And because of these efforts, we get more Krishna's mercy in form of spiritual intelligence and in other forms also. And it works like this. It works like this. Hare Krishna. You cannot understand Krishna in full. He is unlimited. Our knowledge is limited. But as far as you can, try to understand Krishna. It is normal that one cannot understand Krishna in full, because each and every living entity has particular relationships with Krishna, and for these particular relationships, just particular knowledge, particular understanding is needed. And understanding which Yashoda Mata has, for example, differs from understanding which gopis have, for example. It is different rasas, different relationships, different understanding. Yashoda Mata doesn't understand that Krishna is Supreme Lord, and actually she doesn't need to understand it. She doesn't need it, because otherwise this Vatsalya rasa will not take place. If she will understand that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Arjuna was able to understand it. For Arjuna, Krishna is his friend, and Arjuna is Krishna's devotee. and Krishna's disciple after some time. Компания Доша Пахата Свабхава, Причхани Там Самутра Четаса, Ешри Сен Нишчитам Брухи Танне, Shishyastekan Shadhima Tvam Prabhupada. Previously he was not Krishna's disciple, but because of this difficult situation, he decided, let me take his instructions. Let me take Krishna's instructions. So each and every relationships with Supreme Lord requires particular knowledge and particular attitude, particular conception. So that's why actually it is not needed to know Krishna in full. Krishna himself doesn't understand himself fully. That's why he came as Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago to understand what emotions Srimati Radharani experiences because of him. What is Srimati Radharani's love to Supreme Lord Shri Krishna? Like for example, Srila Prabhupada, he was sitting and he was discussing Krishna consciousness with one scientist, with one Hinduism professor. And what is Hinduism actually? Srila Prabhupada asked this professor, Hinduism professor, he asked, what is Hinduism? And the professor told, I don't know what is Hinduism. Srila Prabhupada told, so you are teaching Hinduism and you yourself, you don't know what is Hinduism? And professor, he told, actually it is so complicated, this Hinduism, that it would be quite difficult for me to give the definition. Then they came to this question, who is Krishna? Who is Krishna? And this professor also had some difficulties to explain. And then Srila Prabhupada, he called Saraswati. Saraswati, she was daughter. She was child about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old. Little girl, 5 or 4 years old. She was daughter of Shyamasundara Prabhu and Mataji Malati, if I'm not wrong. And Srila Prabhupada, he asked Saraswati, who is Krishna? And he asked, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead? He asked Saraswati, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead? And Saraswati told, his name is Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada, as far as I remember, he gave her a cookie. And then this girl, this child was very happy, so she ran away to play to have her place, to do something and so on. And this Hinduism professor, he told to Srila Prabhupada that okay, this child told that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but this child, she doesn't understand why Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada told to this Hinduism professor, well, actually Krishna himself doesn't know why he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So why you want this child to understand why Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead if Krishna himself doesn't know why he is Supreme Personality of Godhead? Hare Krishna. So it is about this word, that it is not required to have the full knowledge of Krishna. We have our eternal relationships with Krishna. Now these relationships are forgotten. But for these relationships, just particular part of knowledge is needed. Particular understanding is needed, not the full picture. We're going to the next quote. So here, in this letter to Mataji Satyabhama, which was written in February of 1972, Srila Prabhupada explains the role of his books in one's spiritual life. You are experiencing some doubts that you cannot believe that the Krishna from Krishna book can be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That it must be like some fairy tale. Fairy tale. Some people, they have these difficulties. Why not? To clear up these things, the best remedy is to discuss amongst yourselves or members regularly all our books in classes. Then these doubts will be killed. Killed. Doubts will be killed. We are going to kill our doubts. Without reading books, it becomes hackneyed. Yeah? Hackneyed? It should be read hackneyed. And such obnoxious ideas trouble us. Our thoughts are always changing. That is the nature of the mind. So we cannot expect that even the great saintly persons are free from thoughts coming and going. But after thinking, there is willing and feeling and willing. Willing being the stage of putting the thoughts in action. So if we are able to employ our intelligence, if we are able to employ our intelligence, then we kill the thoughts before they become manifest in activity. But because we are so much inclined to enjoy something unintelligently, we have to, therefore, daily sharpen our intelligence faculty by reading and discussing and preaching to others. Okay? So here it is written about the importance to sharpen the intelligence by reading Srila Prabhupada's books and by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So again, what Srila Prabhupada explains here? He explains that thoughts are coming and going. It is the product of our mind. It is mental activity. But beyond mind, we have intelligence. And if we put our endeavors, again, we are speaking about endeavors, and on these endeavors it depends, are we going to get Krishna's mercy or not? So our endeavors we can put to cultivate the next level, which is beyond mind, which is called intelligence. We should sharpen our intelligence by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And to sharpen intelligence, it means that we have to get clear understanding. What is my goal of life? What should I do? How everything is related? What is the situation? It is called Sambandha Jnana. Sambandha Jnana. Who is Krishna? Who am I? What is material world? How it is related? What to do? What to expect? So we just try to make this picture clear for ourselves. But again, because of all this experience, our experience of living in this material world for quite a long period of time in many species of life, because of that, all these thoughts and emotions that are coming and going, because of that, this picture is not always clear. Like on TV also, this picture is not always ideal or clear, for example. TV picture is not always clear. But anyway, we put our endeavors to read these books to get a clear understanding. Then we also should listen classes, Bhagavatam classes, Bhagavad Gita classes. And you know, in some cases, some particular speakers, some particular spiritual masters, they are able to make this picture really clear for us, you know. In some cases, we listen to some particular class of particular person, particular devotee, and it makes this picture really clear. And actually, it is what is required. When we have clear picture what to do and how everything is functioning, and when we have understanding what should we do, and when we have inspiration to do it. Because also we get this inspiration not out from nothing. We get it from processes of Shravanam and Kirtanam, not out from nothing. not from zero. We get it because this spiritual process of listening about Krishna, this spiritual katha has this spiritual potency, and it can give this spiritual inspiration. It works like this. We're going to the next slide. It is the second part of the same letter, of the same quote. In this way, we're able very easily to defeat all challengers to our philosophy, and everything becomes very clear again about clarity. Again, it is written here about clarity. Everything becomes very clear as it is revealed from different angles of vision. Krishna makes promise to one who is striving to serve him sincerely that he will give such devotee the intelligence by which he may come to him. Again, it is the same quote, the same shloka is mentioned from Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Tisham Satata Yuktanam, Bhajatam Pritipurvakam, Dadani Budhi Yogantam, Yanamama Payansitem. Therefore, we should always pray that Krishna may kindly provide me the intelligence to kill all demons of doubts, and because he understands the heart of his sincere devotee, immediately he gives assistance. For my part, for example, I am absolutely certain that anyone who challenges me, I can defeat you, I can defeat him. Why is that? Because Krishna gives me the intelligence, and we can listen to different recordings how Srila Prabhupada he speaks with different religious people or politicians or social workers or journalists, and we can see how he is able to convince them about Krishna consciousness. So here it is written, it will be second advice for us for today. The first advice was to write realizations down, to write it down every day. 2 lines, 4 lines, whatever. It was the first advice. We should write our realizations down. The second advice is given here. We should always pray that Krishna may kindly provide me the intelligence to kill all demons of doubt. It means not only we can read Srila Prabhupada's books, but we also can pray to our deities that please help me to understand these books and please make me free from these doubts. We can make it the part of our spiritual life, of our prayers. Here, in another class, in another lecture, given on Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 21.1349 in New York in 1967, Srila Prabhupada he says, what is the symptom of our spiritual advancement? Does this spiritual advancement takes place or not? Do I progress spiritually or not? And the symptom is, do I have taste for Krishna Katha or not? And is this taste increases or not? So let's read this quote. Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or anything where the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is discussed, if you feel it is interesting, that means you are getting out of the jaundice of this material disease. This is the test. If you don't feel interested, then you must know that the jaundice of material disease is there. So this is the test. The more you feel Krishna Katha, the topics of Krishna tasteful, the more you will know that you are getting free from the jaundice or material disease. So from this quote we can get advice number 3 for today. And advice number 3 is that we are diseased. We're diseased. The disease is that we're lacking this taste for Krishna Katha. So the advice number 3 is that if I don't feel like I have to read Srila Prabhupada's books, if I don't feel that I want to read Srila Prabhupada's books, anyway it especially means that I have to read it. Because if I don't feel this desire, this interest, it means I'm diseased, it means I have to take medicine. And these books are medicine. So if I don't feel taste, it means exactly that I have to take this medicine in form of Srila Prabhupada's books. Because you see, it is quite often happens that people, they act in such way that, okay, I will be reading Srila Prabhupada's books, but I will do it when I will be inspired. Somehow this inspiration should come, and then I will be reading Srila Prabhupada's books. If there is no such inspiration or there is no such taste, it means there is disease. If there is disease, medicine should be taken. It means if there is no desire to read, it is really symptom that I have to read. It is advice number 3. We should somehow force ourselves to take the book and to open it, even if it requires some endeavors. Anyway, we should do it. Some physical endeavors, to open the book. Sometimes it is so difficult to open the book, as if it is so heavy book. But we should put this endeavors. And this quote, it is the last quote for today. It is again about Shravanam and Kirtanam processes. That Shravanam and Kirtanam processes that are meant to cultivate Bhakti Lata Bija, these processes are meant for everyone. For those who are on initial stages, for those who continue their spiritual life, for Atmaramas. Atmaramas means those who achieved perfection in spiritual life. Anyway, so Srila Prabhupada himself, he writes here in this letter to Hansadutta, October 1974, Mayapur, he writes here that he himself reads his books. The book sales are very encouraging, increasing. It is very good news. Thank you, I want this. Record selling is temporary. Even George Harrison's record sales don't continue for a long time. But a book sold becomes a permanent matter for enjoyment. We read the scriptures again and again, and it is still fresh. When there is time, I go on reading my own books. Srila Prabhupada, he is Acharya, he sets the example, he reads his own books. Actually, he was telling that it is not that he wrote his books, but it was Supreme Lord Shri Krishna who was dictating him these books. And he was just dictating these books on tape recorder. But before he was dictating these books on tape recorder, Srila Prabhupada, he tells that these books were dictated by Krishna himself to him. Usually when they write books, they usually don't read their own books. Those who are writers, they are not readers of their own books, but it is exception. And again, what we have in Srila Prabhupada's books, it is not only Srila Prabhupada's understanding or Srila Prabhupada's realization, it is the treasure which is given by the whole Sri Guru Parampara. When Srila Prabhupada was writing these purports, he was using purports of previous acharyas. So that's why these books are relishable, so relishable. If they are not relishable for us, it means we're diseased, it means we have to read it anyway. It means that if there is no desire to read, it means it is not the excuse not to read. It is the symptom that these books should be read, because it is a symptom of disease, that we are lacking taste, that this jaundice of avidya is there. But again, on the platform of mind, it is quite difficult to understand it. If one is driven by his mind, usually he follows according to his desires. I don't feel like I have to read, so I will not read. So we are following the understanding which is on the level which is beyond mind, the level of intelligence. And intelligence says, spiritual intelligence says, that if we're lacking taste, that means it is symptom of material jaundice. It means that we have to take this medicine. We should take this medicine and we should read Srila Prabhupada's books. Even if we don't understand, even if we don't memorize what is written, anyway we should take this medicine. But if we want to make this practice conscious, then it is much more better to write down the realizations. Okay, summary. Advice number 1, write realizations. Advice number 2, what is advice number 2? Pray to Krishna. Please help me to understand this Srila Prabhupada's books. And advice number 3, if this taste or desire to read Srila Prabhupada's books is not there, it is symptom that these books should be read. It is advice number 3. Hare Krishna. I was trying to make this session practical. Now if you have some questions, we have about 5 or 10 minutes more and we can discuss. Hare Krishna. Yeah, yes. Haribol. So who is going to ask the question? Mike? Ah, yes. Yeah, please take the mic. Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My question is, when let's say throughout the day we have rendered services, and at night there is a time, half an hour time.
Okay.
And in mind thoughts are going on. Should I read for 30 minutes or 15 minutes, let's say?
Okay.
And then another argument comes on mind level, as you said, on mind platform we cannot progress spiritually. But as of now, most of the time there is time in the night time, like let's say 8:30 to 9 o'clock. But when there is, as you said, that we physically we need to open the book.
Yes.
But to open that book, so much thinking is going on. This work is pending. Shall I do this or that? Like milk is there.
Okay.
So I will drink milk and will discuss with devotees.
Okay.
How was the day and so on.
Okay.
So how to kill these thoughts? For example, at night time also there should be eagerness to read. Let's say throughout the day, if we did not find the time, how can get that mindset?
Well, it is recommended to read Krishna book before going to sleep. So, for example, what you can do, you can take milk and someone of you can read the book for others, and you can sit and listen. Or, for example, everyone can read paragraph by paragraph, and then after this you can even discuss something. And these discussions will give more spiritual benefit than just discussions of what was happening during the day. Of course, these discussions of what was going during the day are also important, but if it is the only discussions that we have, it is not the best situation. So, well, basically, these two things can be combined, taking milk and reading book. Like, for example, we have this prasadam in prasadam hall, and at the same time someone is reading the book. Here in this temple and in Juku temple they do it. So why not? And anyway, what kind of discussions we will be having between ourselves, it really depends on our level of consciousness, and our level of consciousness depends on what do we read and what are we listening. So if we are lacking this, then what kind of association we will give to others? It depends on our japa, on our reading. On this depends what kind of association we're able to give. And if we're speaking about association between devotees, it is much more better to give devotees the best what we can give. The best what we can give. not just to complain that life is not easy or to blame others and so on, but to give the best what we can give. So, but for that we have to be recharged spiritually. These spiritual batteries should be recharged nicely by chanting holy names, by books, by some classes, Srimad Bhagavatam classes and so on. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Some more questions? Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yes.
He has a question.
Okay.
Arjun Prabhu.
Good. Nice.
He is saying that let's say we have 1 hour every day for reading
Uh-huh.
in our schedule, PPT schedule.
Okay.
So we should read the same book, or we can go for different books, like one day Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, one day Prabhupada books, Bhagavad Gita.
Well,
Prabhupada
I've heard that you are going through Bhakti Shastri course, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, first of all, of course, we need to have some. You switch off it. Switch it off. Otherwise, we have this sound. Sound becomes the echo, or how do we call it? Yeah, echo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Well, of course, we need to have systematical understanding of Shastra, systematical knowledge. That's why we are going through this training, we are going through Bhakti Shastri course, and we can take Bhakti Vaibhava course as well, and other courses. It is needed. It should be. System is required. At the same time, if to speak about our day-to-day reading, it can go in different ways. For example, we went through Bhakti Shastri course, and now we decided that let me read Nectar of Devotion again, or let me read Bhagavad Gita again. And then on the basis of what we have got from Bhakti Shastri course, we can get some more details. And then it becomes interesting. Another way also, it is also possible, we can have few books, different Srila Prabhupada's books, and we can even we can open different books on different pages, on random pages. Why not? Because if you have this sugar candy, you can buy it from any side. What the difference? If you have a systematical understanding of Shastra, then basically it makes no difference. When you buy it from this side, then you buy it from that, and so on and so on. But it is in case if you have some kind of system. If you don't have this system, better to go through Bhakti Shastri course first, to systematize all this. And then one can go from one book to another. And if to go from one book to another, it makes one awaken. It means that one who is reading, he is not sleeping, because it is interesting to go from one book, then to open another book to see what is written here, what is written there. Or for example, if one has goal that let me read Nectar of Devotion again, and he consciously put this goal that I want to read it again and to get some more details, then it also makes him awaken. The main idea is to make this process interesting for yourself. It can go in both ways. The main idea is that it should be interesting for you, and that you get from this reading, from these books reading, what you actually are interested in. And also we have at the end of books we have this part which I forgot how do we call it in English, but different topics are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, for example. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, different topics are mentioned, and shloka numbers are given. So one can consciously choose that today let me get some more knowledge about particular topic, about karma, for example, or about modes of material nature, and let me read these particular verses. And when he or she, no, not she, here only he, this PBT group. And then we read particular shlokas, and then we get some more details, some more understanding. It makes our mind satisfied also, because if we do what is interesting for us, then naturally mind is satisfied. And again, we can write down something. We are inspired by something, we can write it down in order not to forget. It goes like this. But again, the systematical approach is needed. That's why Bhakti Shastri course is needed. Otherwise, those who just bite from here, bite from there, they don't have whole picture. And those who don't have whole picture, they can miss some very important parts of this picture. And that means there is no complete understanding, there is no qualification to preach, basically, because here I know, there I don't know. Here I remember, there I don't remember, you know? And especially if someone will be asking us the questions on these spiritual subject matters, and we will be unable to give the answers. But if we take this Bhakti Shastri course or any other systematical course, then we are able to understand where, in which chapter, in which verse, we have the answer on such and such particular question, or at least in which part of such and such chapter particular topic is explained and described. You know, it is important. Srila Prabhupada, he was telling like for that devotees, they should know Shastra as nicely. Like for example, the lawyer in court, they also he also has to know all these law books. Lawyer in court, he has to know the law books. He has to know in which article what is written and how it is interrelated. So the same situation is here. Again, summary of the answer on this question, that we should make this process interesting for ourselves. Interesting for ourselves. And we have this list of topics at the end of Bhagavad Gita, at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam. We can freely use it. Why not? Hare Krishna. The main idea is to make this process interesting for ourselves and to get positive samskaras, positive impressions in this process. There should be such feeling that I do it, and this activity that I read Srila Prabhupada's books is connected with positive emotions that I experience when I read these books. It should not be just dry routine, dry routine. It should be interesting process. And of course, also we can listen to the classes of some Vaishnavas who have taste to read Srila Prabhupada's books, and by listening these classes, some part of their taste will be reflected in our hearts. Hare Krishna. Now it is time to go to take prasadam, so I'm not going to delay you here anymore. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, we are very much grateful to Prabhuji. Prabhuji very nicely explained the Srila Prabhupada book reading. Prabhuji given very wonderful point, like before reading